Well, I was born in Colombia, Bogota. I came to Miami at a year and a half, and it was Miami, but we weren't able to stay in Kendall. We had gone to Kendall, which was where my family stayed, but we went to Hialeah, and then that's where graffiti kind of plays a big role in my childhood because we didn't have transportation and stuff, so we would always take the bus and the metro rail. And at that time, a lot of artists would paint the roofs, and I kind of would draw dogs and horses, little realistic stuff at like the age of 5 or 6. But around 7, I remember catching the metro rail and just seeing graffiti on roofs, and it was something different. My uncle was an artist also, and I seen him paint flowers and do a lot of portraits and still paintings of fruits, baskets, kind of the typical, I would say, contemporary stuff. And graffiti was just something different. They didn't teach it to you in art school or in art class, so I kind of like quickly took it upon myself to learn it. And I would say I grew up not having much, so crayons played a big role in my life. And a tattoo I have on my lower leg, because it's a design I created. It's a melted crayon, and it's supposed to look like demented, like cool. It kind of goes back to like my childhood. So it's kind of like the portrayal of like an angry child. Considered because of graffiti, I was like an angry artist, right? Tagging and stuff like that. So it means a lot. I think the first time I kind of noticed I was really an artist was when someone told me, "Oh, how come you don't just color like not in between the lines, but just do solid blues?" I would do little highlights and shadows, and my aunt caught that, and she's like, "Oh, you're an artist." And I was like, "What's that?" And ever since that day, that's where I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do art." And so a lot of things in my life have played a role, honestly. 24 carats. And the reason I would say that is because 24 karat gold is considered the best conductor of electricity, and you also have to mine real deep to find gold. So I convey that with my life, that I've been through like the deepest of hells, and out of all of that, as gold has come out of it. I put a lot of what I've been through in my artwork, and I would just say gold is timeless and it doesn't lose its value, and that's something I hope to always portray with my art and bring to the table. In 5 years, I see myself being a well-known tattoo artist, and not just as a tattoo artist, but also as a fine artist. And in 5 years, I'd like to say I'd have a good amount of merch with like my own products, shirts and hats and things like that would have my artwork on it. And I would just say, pretty much describe myself as an entrepreneur, with the word art in front of it. And yeah, in 5 years, that's where I really see myself. I think anyone getting a shout out by like a music label or something like that, they would say it would probably be that moment. And the only reason it meant a lot to me, it was Cash Money. They gave me a shout out for a Lil Wayne draft I did and the new style that I was coming up with. And the thing I always saw about art is that the artist that actually got exposure always brought something different to the table. In my art school, all of us can do portraits, paint horses, flowers, and leave them looking like a picture. And the people that I'd always see that end up at the spotlight bring something totally different, something that no one has come up with. So I was trying a new style, and to see that they liked it and put it on their page kind of gave me confirmation, like, okay, this style is really working. The one thing I preach on the most is patience. It's like the key to life is patience. One thing I told the apprentice here, it took me like a year before I actually got to get my own chair and tattoo somebody as my own client when I started. And he was like, a year? And I was like, yeah, it was patience. But at the shop where I was at, all the chairs were taken and they had clients. So I had to like already build something and then say, okay, I can take on this chair. So it did take a year, I was telling him, because it wasn't just learning to actually tattoo, but then get a little bit of a clientele coming in to be at a shop. And so I would say one thing is definitely always keep practicing. Drawing is one thing, or painting. Always hone your skills pretty much. And patience with learning, and I know in the beginning not everyone wants to get tattooed because they know that you're learning, but eventually you are going to find those people that are willing to just, hey man, we've had a good relationship, I'll let you tap me, and you just go from there. So I would say don't quit, because sometimes it can be slow in the beginning for some, but I would just say just keep patient, and if you really want to do it, like, you'll make it. I'm Emmanuel Vargas, and I'm also known as Midas 24 carats, and you can follow me on Instagram under Midas _24K.